I've always loved football management games. My first was Championship Manager 93, and I believe I've played every football management game since then. Even the obscure ones like Premier Manager, Alex Ferguson's Player Manager, and some of my all-time favourites like Ultimate Soccer Manager and the LMA series. But board game-wise, nothing has ever captured the feel of one of those games from a solo perspective. Super Club is too focused on the multiplayer experience, and 11 is way too scenario-based, feeling way too much like a reskin of Robinson Crusoe. So I was grinning from ear to ear whilst playing Club Manager and discovering everything that I love from the football management series of computer games. Colin Webster has created something special here. I've finished 3 full 10-season campaigns and still absolutely love my time with this game. This is everything I wanted from other manager board games. He really has perfected the experience on the tabletop. Gameplay wise, for the most part, this is a worker placement game. You start off with 3 coaches, you can gain a 4th, and you place them at the start of the weekly cycle on the board. You have a select few places that let you gain some form of benefit, be it money from marketing, training so you can up your player's power, buying and selling during the transfer windows, scouting youth prospects, improving facilities, or gaining board/scouting tactic cards that either give instant benefits for the week to help you out or assist over time with a bonus. All the while, you prep your team in a formation that gives you the best chance to try and beat the opposing team for that week if you have a match in the league or cup. And it's the match engine side of the game which really makes this one shine, so long as you're not averse to luck of the draw style games, as the match sees you go through a series of incidents during the game, your left side versus their right side, your attackers versus their defense, home field advantage, that sort of thing. And your formation and player power on the board make up the whole of your points scores for the match. You always know your opponent's point score if you play it enough, so know near enough how to beat them and where they are weakest, and so you play around with your team to get the most points in all 6 quadrants: left, centre, right, front, midfield, back, along with a goalkeeper who might be called on to step up, where the winner of each chance, points-wise, gets to draw a select card from the match deck, 2 if certain conditions are met, like higher points totals, and essentially you flip over the card. It's saying either miss, chance on goal, which you roll to see if the goalkeeper saves it, or if it's a goal, goal cards, which will help towards winning the match, and the dreaded reverse card, which sees you flip over yet another card, but for the losing person. Surprisingly, always ended in a shock goal more than not, because the cards hate me, it seems. But that's the basics, and the core gameplay loop here is as addictive as it is easy to learn. I really picked this one up after just the 1 turn in the first week, but as with all worker placement games, the true depth is in discovering how to truly knuckle down and make sure you are getting the maximum output in every turn to get consistent great results. And like all the great worker placement games, you are often left questioning if you made the right decision that turn in the early game. Did you prioritize the right strategy? Did you play the right formation? Did you put the best players in all the best areas on the board? Do you go for short-term help with scout reports, long-term potential help with board cards? Do you focus on youths or training your players up to maximize sell-on value or team strength? There's quite a lot of decisions to be made, and early game you will make the wrong ones as you try to be a jack of all trades manager. But once you've got some experience with this one, you'll feel like a 2005 Jose Mourinho. And that's why, in Football Manager fashion, I want to tell you the tale of my 3 experiences, because all Football Manager players know it's the stories of your save which give you the most meaningful memories. And during my first with I just about survived by 1 point on the final day of the first season in Division 3. Focusing on upping my facilities, money and training starting players, I managed to give myself a great boost into the second season where I gained promotion via the playoffs and had a sneaky cup run where I got to the semi-finals on penalties, granting us lots of money for the second division where I finally upgraded my coaching team and made headway into my marketing team. During my third season, I discovered some players who will remain in my squad until the end of my campaign. We were just about getting by money-wise until we gained a second shock promotion via the playoffs and had another semi-final appearance in the cup. So here I was with a lot of money, players not really good enough for the top division and very much in need of a miracle. One which came from the transfer market as I found 3 7-power players whom just about helped to keep me up on the second from last game of the season. By season 5 I had built my marketing department and got most of the way towards my new stadium, but our season really was nothing to shout home about as we finished just above relegation, but we had reached that point just after the winter transfer window. Season 6 my stadium was built so I could finally buy 8 cost power players, and fortunately, even with those purchases, we remained a solid but unremarkable team for the remainder of the campaign. By the end of my last 10th season, our highest points total was 18 in the 8th season. We had a stadium, staff, youth facility and marketing, and we won the cup twice in both the 8th and 9th seasons, but we were very much Crystal Palace, never getting anywhere near relegation, but never challenging the top either. So for my second campaign with Oxton, I decided to do an FM special. I went for only youth players or ones with stars for retirement, which means they never will leave. And this campaign was really enjoyable. As for my first 2 seasons, I just about survived in Division 3, worked in on my marketing department and staff, along with a bit of training. Soon as they were built on in our third, we fought for promotion via the playoffs and worked on our youth players training even more, getting relegated back to Division 3. Our youth training paid off for a quick promotion campaign in the 4th, and we just about stopped up in the 5th and 6th seasons. Our youth facilities were built by the end of the 6th, so now we went on a youth player binge, attracting more free youths and training them up, but it wasn't until season 8 we gained promotion to the top division, and we were unfortunately hit with relegation on the last day as we lost in the relegation playoffs. Our 10th season seeing us finish mid-table, just missing out on the playoffs by 1 point, as we lost to a shock goal on the final day. Either way, this one was by far my most enjoyable campaign of the 3, as it's how I play Football Manager on PC for the most of the time. But I was very determined to put all I'd learned over 2 full campaigns into practice for my third. I really wanted to win the Division 1 title and play against European teams. So first season, I focused heavily on getting my starter team in a position where I could challenge for promotion. It didn't happen, but I did manage to build up the marketing department to halfway, as I knew money was something I needed early on. Fully building it in my second season as I finished just outside the playoffs, but now had players who could get me places next year. And with my money from marketing, I went out a bit of a Wrexham-style spending spree, gaining me players whom I could just leave development-wise, but guarantee me promotion that I needed and got well before the end of the season. Now with a budget, I focused on money, a couple of players to just secure me survival, and I worked on the stadium and extra staff. I didn't bother with youth players this time round, as 4th season I got a comfortable mid-table finish, and 5th season, after nearly finishing my stadium but securing my extra coach, I was surprisingly knocked out of the playoffs for the first time ever. but it did mean I could then get the stadium to one-off completion by a couple decent players and train those I could up to 6 or 7 power, netting me straight promotion on the final day of the season, as I needed 3 points to succeed and ended up winning 5-1. But now I was with the big boys, and as I finished the stadium in the off-season, I could now start the Division 1 campaign with access to great 8+ players. And I did splash all my cash, but I got a 8 power defender, 7 power goalkeeper and 9 power striker, meaning I stopped up with ease and could now focus on money and recruitment. This is where I could just build up the big bank balance and splash everything on top quality players, dealing with retirements and power downgrades as I went on. I was rolling with a 3-4-3 formation and comfortably surviving the 7th and 8th seasons meant by my 9th I had more money Man City, and I just went wild. I bought all 9 power players and above where I needed them, fully improved all my team, and finally won the league in my 9th season. Just about on the second from last game. That season my team were epic, only losing once to the best team in the game, thanks to the home team getting a card flip last, revealing the goal card. But for my 10th season, the last one, I not only managed to win the league yet again, but I finally won the domestic cup for the first time ever. Seriously, I kept getting knocked out in the semis by penalties. It was very reminiscent of England's achievements. But in getting to the final of the Euro Cup, I ended up being shockingly beaten 1-0 thanks to a reverse card and them scoring on the counter-attack. So the treble was in tatters. But the memories I had with some of these players like Ruiz and Longi meant a lot to me, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this one. So much so I was playing basically every night and thinking about what I would do strategy-wise whilst doddering at work. But there is a couple of things I found that need improving upon, and to be fair to Colin, he listens very well and has come up with some great solutions to my little nitpicks. My first big complaint is the inability to find specific players that you're after when you need them late on. The transfer window is more like an NFL draft where you can only buy a few specific players. Yes, you can talk to agents, but you're still only getting a choice of 7 that turn. And the player deck can be quite big-ish late on, with lots of great options for wingers, centre mids and forwards. But how about an amazing Roberto Carlos style left back? Well, if you need one of those to complete your team, unfortunately you're relying on the luck of the draw, and they might not come up at all, no matter how many times you try in both windows that season. So I do think if you give up, say, all your workers, you should realistically be able to search for, say, 3 specific players in a position, and you then get a choice to buy one of them, because in reality and on FM late, you need to just tinker with specific players to help the overall team. You can't just buy any old player and change everything just to suit them. Real Madrid won't suddenly change from a back 4 to a 3 just because Carrias isn't available to them. They will splash the cash to buy the specific player they need, and I'd like that to be an option. The visit board space I found very underwhelming, same as the team morale option, as Colin has changed the way it worked for this playtesting box. I found the space quite useless, and the morale was very ineffective and didn't come into play at all for me over 3 full seasons. But I don't want to dwell on it too much, as Colin has said to me that he is going to change this back to how it was before and make you have to receive board cards if you're failing, just like a manager would have to if team morale is low and your team is not performing. Youths in general, though, during this campaign were a bit of a massive letdown. There is a reason I wanted to do youth-only campaign here, and it was because of my first campaign where I didn't do anything with youth players at all. And the fact they are so random can't even be considered as a potential route to go down with that, without that 2+ power youth facility outside of Division 3, and it just means you're never going to use them, and that is mainly because they should get better base power-wise as you go up the divisions by even say 1 power, because when you're in the first division, you should be pumping out better youth players, and getting ones with a base power of max 3 is stupid, because even with the facility, that means they are only base 5, and they're not always stars for growth. Some will end growth after the 6th, 7th season, and when you're late on, they are basically someone you just want to sell, as they never make the team. Yes, you can say that happens in real life, but there's no way of having a great star player out of the gate here. There's no Messi, Ronaldo, or even Rooney, who was amazing at 16. There should be a 6th power youth player out there, I feel, who can just become a superstar if you train them correctly, maybe getting to like 12 power. And I do hope that will be addressed in the main game for those of us who enjoy a youth-only save, because you feel like you're building up a new generation of players, and the restrictions of a 10-season campaign do mean that you never feel like you'll get a class of 92 or even a 2000s Barcelona where you can have star players all from your youth ranks. Now, my only other hopeful suggestion is giving the teams a bit of uniqueness, because during my playthroughs, I just felt the teams were very much just colours on a bland bit of board. There's only 2 in the playtest box, but there's nothing to separate them at all other than both are struggling teams at the bottom of Division 3, and they are pretty much blank canvases. I'd like to see something from each team that they are good at, even if it's only in the solo mode of this game. Like, say, the red team have always produced great youth players, so they are halfway towards their youth facility upgrade. The blue team have great marketing. The yellow team have got a former great from the off for 2 seasons. The green team have an extra coach from the outset, something to distinguish every campaign you play and give you a little boost towards a certain playstyle if you want to go down that path, with the option to completely start from scratch as is and it be more of a challenge. I want to be able to craft multiple stories here from the outset, and maybe even include more long-term goals that can get you sacked, as realistically, even with a very poor starter basic team in Division 3, you can just fluke your way out of survival, as the other teams in your division, bar one, have a weakness your formation and players can exploit to give you card draw chances. So I never felt in danger of my campaign ending, and I would like a bit more risk factor to be involved as the campaign progresses. That's it for my nitpicks though. I have scant few problems with this game. I personally feel it's great. It's by far the best football management style board game out there. It flows really well. There's no upkeep really, and it means games are fluid, done in about 2 hours, and you can play this basically every day with little to no setup and teardown time. The minimalism works here for those of us who enjoy Champ Manager from the 90s, but my big concern is the player count, as I feel this should go all in and potentially be a solo-only experience. This game has way more in common with Legacy of You than it does Super Club. Yes, it's easy to see how multiplayer has been utilised here. I didn't play it myself as I'm a solo-only guy, but you essentially challenge for board spaces, then play each other and the bot teams at various times. But I wouldn't like to be playing this in a group where multiple promotions and relegations can happen. I feel like it would be a bit of a complicated mess to keep track of everything, and I feel it should just embrace the solo-only tag, as that is where I feel the vast majority of people will be playing this one. For me though, this is everything I wanted in a Football Manager board game. Colin has perfected the core gameplay experience. I just feel with a few little tweaks it could be one of the greatest board games of all time for myself. Something I would play consistently every year, much like I do Football Manager on the PC. And Colin deserves a massive round of applause for genuinely consuming my life for this past 6 weeks. It's a shame I've now got to send this one back, but thanks, Colin, for crafting something special, and I hope others love this game as much as I did when it eventually launches and arrives.